It's 3 a.m. Somewhere in America, a man opens an app and stares at a number. His life savings. It's right there on the screen. He taps withdraw. Nothing happens. It will never happen. He wasn't hacked. There was no crash that night. The money he was looking at had already been spent, quietly for months. And the door that let it happen was a single setting hidden inside the company's own software. He was one of about 1 million people who trusted a company called FTX, and a 30-year-old who told the world he wanted to give his entire fortune away. Roughly $8 billion of their money would vanish. This is exactly where it went. Here's the only promise that matters when you hand someone your money: that it's still yours, that they're holding it, not spending it. FTX made that promise to 1 million customers. In about a year, you're going to watch a man go from a $26 billion fortune and a Super Bowl ad to a prison sentence of 25 years. Over the next 12 minutes, the image he built, the hidden line of code that let his own hedge fund reach into customer money, where the billions actually went, the week it all collapsed, and the verdict. Keep one thing in mind: that line of code. We'll get to it. To understand how $8 billion walks out the door, you have to understand why nobody was watching it. Sam Bankman-Fried did not look like a man stealing from anyone. That was the genius of it. He wore the same rumpled t-shirt and shorts to meet senators and billionaires. He slept on a beanbag chair at the office. He reportedly played a video game in the middle of an investor pitch, and they wired the money anyway. Because the story around him was irresistible. A math whiz who didn't care about money, who said he was only getting rich to give it all away to save the world. The scruffy genius you could trust precisely because he didn't seem to want anything. And the trust was everywhere. FTX bought a Super Bowl commercial. It put its name on the arena where an NBA team played. Famous athletes vouched for it. Money poured in from 1 million ordinary customers. But there were really two companies. One was FTX, the exchange, where your money was supposed to just sit there, safe. The other was Alameda Research, his private hedge fund, making huge, risky bets to win. Those two were never supposed to touch. The wall between money we're holding for customers and money we're gambling with, that wall was the promise. Someone had cut a door through it, and it was built on purpose. Here's the line of code I promised you. It's almost insultingly simple. When a normal FTX customer tries to spend more money than they have, the software stops them cold. Your balance cannot go below zero. Same rule for everyone. Except it wasn't the same for everyone. At the trial, FTX's own co-founder, Gary Wang, told the jury the software had a secret exception. One account, and only one, was allowed to go negative, to keep pulling money out after it hit zero. Reporting at the trial described the setting by its name in the code: allow negative. That one account belonged to Alameda, his hedge fund. Sit with what that means. The firm placing the giant, risky bets had a secret tap running straight into the customer's deposits. A line of credit bigger than any real customer could ever have. Wang testified it was built on Bankman-Fried's instruction. So when Alameda bet and lost, it didn't run out of its money. It reached through the door, into the savings of people who thought their coins were just sitting there, untouched. And this is the part I want you to remember because it cuts through all the jargon. There is an old plain word for taking money people trusted you to hold and spending it as your own. It isn't crypto. It isn't a liquidity issue. It's theft. Picture just one of those million customers. Not a trader, a nurse, a teenager, someone who put in the down payment for a house because an ad on the Super Bowl said it was safe. To them, the balance on the screen was real. On the night it mattered, it was a ghost. As long as everyone didn't ask for their money back at the same time, no one would ever see the door. Which leaves one question the whole thing was always going to come down to. What happens the day everyone asks at once? November 2022, confidence cracks. A report raises doubts about how solid FTX and Alameda really are. A rival pulls its support, and customers start doing the one thing the hidden door cannot survive. They ask for their money back, all of them, at once. It's the oldest test there is, a run. In days, customers try to yank billions off the exchange. A healthy company just hands it over. It's your money. It's right there. FTX couldn't, because most of what customers thought was sitting safely on the exchange wasn't there anymore. It had gone out through the door, into bets and deals and spending. Watch how fast a fortune built on trust evaporates when the trust is gone. By some estimates, Bankman-Fried's wealth fell from around $16 billion to under $1 billion in a single day. Within days, effectively zero. And the hole he left behind, roughly $8 billion owed to customers, about $1.7 billion to investors, another $1.3 billion to Alameda's lenders. FTX filed for bankruptcy. The man who said he'd give his fortune away had presided over a crater $8 billion deep in other people's money. One honest note, because the truth should be exact. This was not $8 billion set on fire. The money was moved, bet, and spent. And through years of bankruptcy proceedings, much of it was eventually clawed back for customers. But you'll get most of it back years later if you fight through a court is not what the ad promised. The promise was, it's safe, it's here, it's yours. That was a lie, which left one question that code and spreadsheets can't answer. Did he know? In the fall of 2023, Sam Bankman-Fried went on trial in a federal courtroom in New York. His defense boiled down. Mistakes were made, but not crimes. He didn't mean to. The problem was who sat in the witness chair, not outside investigators, his own inner circle. The people who ran Alameda with him, the co-founder who built the code with him, and described out loud the secret setting that let the money move. They testified the use of customer money was no accident. On November 2nd, 2023, the jury went out. It was back in a few hours. Guilty. Not on some of it, on all 7 counts. Wire fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, every single one. Prosecutors called it one of the biggest financial frauds in American history. On March 28, 2024, the judge sentenced him to 25 years in federal prison and ordered him to forfeit more than $11 billion. From the cover of the magazines and a Super Bowl ad to a number on a prison door, in about 2 years. The arena that carried his company's name, they scrubbed it off the building. If this finally made the FTX mess actually make sense, do me one favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps these explainers reach the next person who got burned. Strip away the shorts, the bean bag, the talk of saving the world. And what's left is brutally simple. A company told 1 million people their money was safe. A hidden line of code let that money be spent. When everyone asked for it back, it was gone. And 12 strangers in a jury box called it exactly what it was. Here's the part that's free and worth more than anything FTX ever sold. If somebody else holds your money, you are trusting them. Not the technology, not the ad, not the genius in the t-shirt. Your funds are safe is only ever as honest as the person who can reach the door. So I'll leave you with the argument everyone's still having. 25 years for an $8 billion fraud. Too much? Too little? Exactly right? Tell me below. And if you had money on FTX that week, I genuinely want to hear what it was like. Next time, same question. Money, trust, and the people who break it. But a fraud from an age long before computers. Subscribe so you don't miss it. This is a documentary explainer, not financial or legal advice. The dramatized scenes are symbolic reconstructions generated with AI. They are not real footage of any person or event.